Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Thursday. Sorry, messing with my hair again. I know. It's like, just sweep it to one side, lady. Anyway, whatever. Okay, here I am. Here we are. I am sorry, I'm not doing fabulous today. I would like to be, but I'm not. I'm having a bit of a, I think I'm cycling through emotions or something, but having a bit of a mental health day. So please bear with me, because I'm going to try to be as high energy as possible, but like usual. But like I said, I'm just having an episode today, and it's just kind of upending me. And it's been a while since I've had one, so I'm just, but we kind of have a fun subject today. I was watching a video, and it was about Plymouth Rock, and this guy was like, that's it. He basically called it America's pet rock. So, so I thought, I'm going to put this out on Facebook. Now, I didn't get anyone's permission to share who they are, so I'm not going to tell you who they belong to. I'll just use their first initial. But sorry, my brain. Oh, it's going to be a day. So anyways, yeah, so I put it out on Facebook, and I said, what landmark were you excited to see? And they were completely disappointed when you got there. So, so yeah, let's just dive right in. Hey there, mother. Oh, have a fun bestie lunch. Is that your bestie lunch? But anyways, yeah, so I hope you feel better too, and I love you too. Yeah, so it must be something in the weather, right? I don't know. But anyways, so I'm going to start with, and my dad, I'm saying my dad because my dad, I told him, I said, look, I'm doing this for a show, what, blah, blah, blah. So his first one was the Alamo. Now, there is a kind of a footnote to this. Oh, right. I'm sorry, Muddy. Okay, well, have a nice and lovely lunch, and please give her my best. So anyways, that's right. I know. I'm sorry. My brain. So anyways, so I wrote everybody's things down. Okay. And so I'm quoting them, but, so I am quoting them. But my dad said, the Alamo, the initial shock when you see it surrounded by shops and buildings, but then you go inside and also realize they didn't move it. They just built around it. So at first, his shock was seeing all these shops and business buildings, or whatever it was, office buildings. This is years ago. And just being like, I guess because the buildings tend to dwarf the Alamo, right? I mean, this building is like 200 years old. So, it's, I think because it dwarfed it and then made it look so small, and then you see it in the movies and you have it built up in your mind. But he says, once you go through, there's a plaque with all the names of the people that died there and fought there, and all those good things. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like standing outside of the TARDIS, right? It just looks like a blue police box. And then you walk in and you're like, oh. So anyways, so these are the other ones that people responded to on Facebook. I also put one in there. What place were you looking forward to see, and it did not disappoint? But I only got like 2 responses, so maybe people just like to complain more than they like to be excited about things. Because the other one was a suggestion, and I thought, oh, okay, they probably suggested it because they want to share their favorite places. But yeah, but nobody responded, so it was kind of like, So anyways, the next one, Plymouth Rock, America's pet rock. So if you've ever seen Plymouth Rock, it's a stone. I mean, they say that only the top part is visible, but it's really just a stepping stone. But when you're growing up in school, they make Plymouth Rock sound like it's some kind of gigantic boulder that that the Pilgrims first saw. But then when you stop and really think about it, and because they say they landed at Plymouth Rock, they didn't say they stepped onto Plymouth Rock. And that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like this tiny, itty bitty little, I mean, it's probably the size, well, maybe it might be a little bit bigger than my desk. And the first time they tried to move it, it cracked in half. So they had to put it back together. Then they put it in like this cage because people kept trying to chip off pieces. But nobody even really knows if that's Plymouth Rock, that, you know, where the Pilgrims first stepped onto, because it wasn't really coined into, you know, into being, or coined into being. It wasn't really brought into being until a gentleman tapped a, you know, the date on it, and through history and local folklore. So here's the thing. Back in those days, not everybody wrote things down. They'd pass things through family. So it's very possible that this is the stone that the Pilgrims first landed on in the United States. Well, not the United States at the time, in the New World, to start the journey, which not so great for everybody, but like their Native American friends. However, friends, and by that I mean it's like, yeah, they do all these things for you, and then you are roughshod over their land. And I know I shouldn't complain because I live here, right? I do live here, but I do like to pay homage to our roots, you know. And sure, people will always say, well, the Native Americans migrated here. Yeah, they did, but they did that thousands of years ago. So basically, they got here first. Okay, they got here first, and then thousands of years later, everybody else decided to go, we have boats. Let's see where we can go with them. Oh, look, land. They're not flat. So anyway, so yeah, a lot of people were disappointed by Plymouth Rock. I remember when older sibling went there for a friend's funeral, and she sent me a picture. She's all, hey, I got to see Plymouth Rock. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And then she sends me this picture, and I'm like, I sent her back. I'm all, well, where is it? Oh, that's it. That is it. That was it. So it's kind of like, I think maybe if you see it in person and you know now, it's just, you know, kind of send yourself back in history. Because even though it wasn't time stamped until 121 years later, that's still like 200 and something years. Actually, 121 years later, that's actually 303 years ago now. It's that it was time stamped. So there you go, right? They landed somewhere on that beach, and that stone was picked to be its representative. So, you know, we'll try to put a positive spin on all this. So, the Liberty Bell. This one always floors me. Okay, my dad was one of the people. My dad and another friend of mine, we'll call her N, said, you know, my friend N said, that's it. So my dad said that too, like literally almost word for word, said that was the Liberty Bell. And I've never seen it in person. But the first thing I asked him, well, how big did you want it to be? I mean, remember, let's put it into perspective here, okay? Because this is the Aloha Perspective. Let's put it into perspective. The reason that bell became so famous is because when they finally declared freedom and they rang the bell till it cracked, it wasn't meant to be anything but a bell. I think it just got famous because, you know, someone was so vigorously excited about freedom that they cracked the bell. And so then it just became this big thing. But other people that, when I looked it up, okay, other people said, yeah, she's like, I saw a replica bell and it was like 13 feet high. And probably because, you know, they wanted to show all the detail and whatnot. But the actual Liberty Bell is not that big. It is just a bell. Okay, it's just a bell that was meant to tell the time to the town and meant to tell people whatever, you know, ringing the bell, do whatever. So, you know, so I mean, that's perspective. And I'm not trying to dismiss what they're thinking, but that's what I mean. We sometimes build all these things into our mind going, wow, you know, and then we get there and we're like, oh, So, so anyways, so my friend T said Mount Rushmore, cool, but underwhelming. So I've heard different things about that. Sissy Joe went years and years and years ago. She thought it was so neat, but they drove up on it. So it's like, it's so neat. You're driving up on it and you hear about it all this time. And, you know, and then my dad was like, yeah, it was cool. Or it was okay. It was neat. I mean, that was his words. It was neat. I mean, my dad loves history as much as I do. So for him to say, yeah, you know, I mean, I think he was excited because he wanted to see it. But, I'm not sure what more we're expecting to see. So, I mean, I can see where my friend would say it's cool but underwhelming. But but yeah, so I mean, it's someone took the time to blast this stuff out of the mountain. So that's huge right there. I mean, kudos to that dude. So the next one, my friend Jay, this is the place monument. So it's a Mormon monument in Utah, but it's called This is the Place. That's the name of the monument. That's where the Mormons decided to stop and build their thing. And I did look it up, and I'm like, for all these fabulous, buildings, that they like sanctuaries, temples that they built. I'm not sure what they call them, to be honest. I did have the privilege of being able to go into the one in San Diego for the first time in like 35 years since they built it. And, because it was open to the public, and now it's been reconsecrated, so only Mormons can go in there. But for all the big, places that they build, when I looked at the picture of the monument, I thought, that's it. It's like, you would think, I mean, it was nice. It's nothing to, it is pretty cool. But I guess maybe if you grow up in the religion or you grew up something, you're expecting this really big, tall cathedral. And really it's just, kind of like it look almost like a marble monument with some statues and maybe depicting the arrival of the Mormons into Utah. So I don't know what they were expecting, to be honest with you. I've never seen it in person. Personally, I think some things are so amazing, and I just, I go into everything. Like for the last 30 years, I've gone into everything with really low expectations, so that, because I feel like when I get super duper excited and then it doesn't match my expectations, it's kind of a letdown, right? So now I just kind of go like, yeah, well, whatever. I mean, and my uncle asked me that. He's like, yeah, but you get so excited about, like all the superhero movies. And I was like, yeah, I do. And I love them and I get excited, but I'm not expecting it to blow me out of my seat, until it does. So sorry, Comet is laying at Jesus's feet. Pocket Jesus. I think the wind blew him over. He's not very sturdy. But anyway, there we go. So sorry. I know, my face right up close. So the next one comes from C. Petrified Forest in Arizona. Very spread out, and the cool trees you cannot get close enough to actually see. Maybe we should have brought binoculars. Yeah, that kind of stuns me, and I don't know if people did that because the world's full of vandals now, right? People that got to destroy awesome things. And so I'm not sure if there was a trail that went in there or what, but whatever the case was, my friend was highly disappointed because they were so far away. We couldn't get close. So my friend A from England, Land's End in Cornwall, UK. I don't know what I expected, to be honest, but it was very much a letdown. Just a signpost with mileage to John O'Groats in Scotland. So John O'Groats, I was looking that up, is apparently a play on Jan de Groots or something like that from, I don't know, but I guess he became popular or something. I don't know. I'm sorry. I did this last week and I did not commit any of this to memory, but I get it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's right. I don't know what to expect. I mean, cause it's Land's End, so it's a cliff, but I guess if you've been landlocked all your life, seeing the ocean or seeing the channel even, which is part of the ocean, obviously, might be, a bit awesome. So, and it has more than just signed, and I don't know how old she was, but when I Googled this one, it has mileage to like New York this way or Scotland that way or somewhere London or something like that way. So, so I guess they did add more to the signpost. I don't know. It looked like a really pretty place though. It looked like one of those places where you go, you bring your journal, you sit and you just kind of like, and you get absolutely no writing done because you're just mesmerized by the scenery. So, but I can understand that because the next one from my friend E kind of blew my mind. The Grand Canyon. That was one of the most impressive places I've ever seen in my life. Every time I've been there, it's just kind of like, wow, nature did this. But she has a reason. We were at the meteor crater the day before, which was caused by a giant space rock. All right. She capitalized that, giant space rock. So a meteor, right? Then went to the Grand Canyon. Water carved this rock. That's what water does all the time. I got bored in 19 minutes. I have to say, I would say that seeing a big crater, because my dad's been to meteor crater, and I've only seen a picture from the magnet he brought back, but I can see why being in the presence of something that was caused by literally a giant space rock, could kind of underwhelm people when you go to the Grand Canyon and it's basically a canyon. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen canyons in movies, but a lot of people like to go to the Grand Canyon because, it reminds them. I know a lot of people say it reminds them how small they are. And I don't think we should ever make ourselves feel small. What I like to think when I look at the Grand Canyon, and I kind of flipped my thinking about a week ago when I was thinking about this, is how, it makes us realize we're a part of something big. We're a part of something big. Yes, it's, water does this all the time, but it took the water millions of years to do this. And not only that, this is in Arizona, and this river, it's the Colorado River. I mean, it flows from way, and I think past Colorado, I think maybe. But just like, I would probably say the most underwhelming thing to me is the first time I saw the Rio Grande. I actually saw the Rio Grande at the beginning, where it kind of really turns from a stream and starts going into a river. Most underwhelming thing I've ever seen in my life. It literally looked like a little stream. And I was like, this is it. But then I thought, hey, it has, like babies, right? Babies are born, then they grow bigger. So they don't stay little. So it's like, okay, well, I can see how this little tiny mighty thing, or this little thing turns into the mighty Rio Grande. So, okay. But also, yeah, the Colorado River flows all the way, I think, into, does it flow into Mexico? I think it flows into Mexico. Because I know when you're driving out to Arizona from California, you can see parts of it. So the aqueducts and all that stuff. So, no, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I might be wrong on that. So whatever. But the whole point is that it does start, or it does end up in the Grand Canyon. So this body of water has also existed for millions of years. So that's pretty awesome. Anyway, next one. Sorry, I got to watch my time here too, because I have an appointment to get the car appointmented. So for my friend M, this was comedy relief. I called this comedy relief because this absolutely made me laugh. the other side of the Mississippi River. Okay. The mighty Mississippi. We crossed the river and found a spot to walk down and put our feet in the river. Spoiler alert. The eastern bank is very similar to the western bank of the river. I know, that made me laugh. That made me totally laugh, because it's just kind of like, yeah, okay. Now, we're going to circle back a little bit to Plymouth Rock, and we're going to go to its namesake in Plymouth, UK. So I have friends, and I believe their son went to university in Plymouth. So they spent some time there, but it was funny because my friend did admit this, that she thought that like where people go for Plymouth Rock at first is where they kind of start. So, but anyways, so here's the flip side for Plymouth Rock. This is from my friend R. And so I met my friends when they lived out here. He came out here after university, found his wife, fell in love. I met them after their son was already like 11 or 12 when I met them. But we were all hockey fans, all the same fans of the same team. And then after her mother passed away, they moved back to England because his parents were getting older. So the whole family, half American, the son, and the dual citizenship guy. They all went back. So very lovely friends. I got to see them when I was in England. I miss them very, very much. They were fun, and these are the kind of people that, even though they're very far away, they're always going to be somehow a part of your life. So anyways, he says, so I said, now for the flip side of Plymouth Rock, the Mayflower Steps in Plymouth, England. So this is his words. The Mayflower Steps in Plymouth, England, they are not the original steps, and they are not even in the right place, but tourists flock to see them. So my friend was telling me about this, and for some reason I did not write it down. But she was saying that it's kind of funny too, because she says they're marble steps, and she's all, I never really thought about the fact that they wouldn't have had marble steps. So apparently, for those of you who watch this and want to be in the know, the actual steps for them to get onto the Mayflower are behind the women's bathroom. Very small steps, very tiny feet, tiny steps. That's what she said. Tiny feet, tiny steps. But maybe the people in Plymouth heard how underwhelming Plymouth Rock was and thought, hey, we got to do it up over here for all these Americans that come to visit and want to see where the Mayflower left from. So let's do it. So, you can go take pictures of the steps, the pretty ones. And then you can, when you go to the bathroom, go behind it, and you can find the actual steps where the Mayflower left. So you can get the both of best worlds, right? You can get your photo op, and then you can get the actual historical accuracy. So yeah, that made me laugh though, because I'm like, oh my God, I'd be that tourist that goes, oh my God, this is where they left. Look at how they commemorated it with marble steps. Then you find out that it's just as underwhelming as Plymouth Rock. So I admit though, I would love to see Plymouth Rock, just because it's not even so much the rock as the beach, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Some of my ancestors came from the east, but a lot of my ancestors came from the west. So I kind of bookend this country with my nationalities, and my DNA inheritance came from that way, the west, and that way, the east. So, last one. This comes from S. He puts Plymouth Rock, definitely. Number one, it was so tiny. And number two, how the hell did they know the Pilgrims stepped first on that tiny rock rather than a different rock? And so I added to that. From Google University, they don't. Symbolic origin. No written records from 1620 mention the rock. Perhaps they thought it was insignificant. I think that, right? I mean, you're landing on a beach. The whole country is kind of the imprint, right? But a local resident named Thomas Fonts, my writing, identified it in 1741, 121 years later, based on tales from early settlers. So relocation attempts and people, souvenir hunters, chipping away at it caused a break in two, but the pieces were united in 1921 under a commemorative canopy. So yeah, it's still that small. And somebody said it looks like a Roman temple, like they built a Roman temple over it to keep it safe. The current status, only the upper portion remains visible from the sand. So it's small from the top, but there was some comments in the Pet Rock Guys video that were so funny. It's like, maybe where's the rest? Maybe the rest of it is buried. And so, and somebody says, in social studies in school, they made it look like a cliff. Now here's the thing. It could have been a cliff that they were near on Plymouth Beach. But usually when the platform comes down, right? The whatever they call that thing, the plank that they walk down, it usually has to be on a hard surface, but so maybe they leaned it up against the rock and that was the first thing they stepped on. I don't know. I have no idea. So, who knows? Maybe it's bigger. Somebody break out your ground x-ray machine. So, older sibling, and this one kind of floors me, so I'm going to save it for last because I've been here too. But, so my friend S said Kona. I got to Kona. It's just a big black mud lava pit. It poured rain for 3 days. I couldn't even leave my room. The electricity kept going out for hours at a time. The Volcanoes National Park was nice, on the other side of the island. Kona was a dump and not at all what I was envisioning Hawaii to be. So apparently she'd wanted to go to the Big Island since she was a teenager, and when she got there, completely overwhelmed. So I'm not sure, I mean, this is the land of my people. So that was a little rough to read, but also people are going to have their own opinions. And depending on the time of year that you go, you are going to get rain. Hawaii is, Maui is the Garden Isle. Maui's the Garden Isle because it's basically the rainforest of the West. It's Hawaii's own rainforest. Now, ironically, when we went in March, that was the only day it did not rain on us when we were on tour. So, Maui sprinkled on us, kind of rained. It started raining a lot towards the end of the day, but Kauai was very kind to us. It did not rain one lick. So I felt bad for her. I did. I would love for her to go back in less of a spring climate time. So, cause that's rainy season. I know when you go in like between January and March, it rains a lot. So anyway, let's see. Oh, so older sibling, Buffalo. I asked her, so what was underwhelming to you? And she's all, Buffalo Bill's grave. And I'm like, Buffalo Bill's grave? It's like, did you want him to get out of it and start dancing for you or entertaining? And she's like, no, I just thought it would be more. Now, here's the funny thing. There is debate about this grave because a lot of people believe that Buffalo Bill was spirited away, no pun intended, because we know he's dead, in the dark of night and buried back in his home state. So he's buried in Colorado. If you're going up the I-70, I believe, there's signs everywhere. And then like the Mother Cabrini monument is out there with a big statue of Jesus. If you do the Mother Cabrini monument, remember, you are a mile high. The air is thinner. I went up there. When I got back to the car, I needed the inhaler. I thought I was going to die because there are a lot of steps going up there. But I was very proud of myself for doing with it. And it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint. And being able to know what she did coming out from the East Coast to be of service to the people out in this state was phenomenal. And, she was a Catholic nun, obviously, because she's a nun. But yeah, so, it kind of hit me in my Catholicism feels. But also, I was very proud of myself for making it up there. And I'm sharing that with you because you should be proud of me too, because I thought I was going to die. So anyway, it's a lot of steps and all going up. And then you got to come back down. And for my knee, for those who know that I have a grade 3 bad knee, from tearing it so much from being way active when I was younger. Yeah, going down is the hard part. But yeah, so that was a wild ride. But anyways, I was like, what did you want? It was a grave. What did you want it to look like? I don't know. And she's like, I don't know. I just thought it would be more exciting. So, short of him coming out of his grave and entertaining her with some kind of Wild West show, I'm being honest. I don't mean to laugh at her, but I'm really trying to figure out what it is that she was going for with this. So, but it's like, okay, so, but hey, to each their own, right? Like the friend who didn't find the Grand Canyon, who found it very underwhelming, Mount Rushmore, who someone found underwhelming, the Liberty Bell, that's it. So, for me, there's some things that just like, I think they're built so big in our minds that we don't realize that, they're still ordinary things. The only reason like I said, going back to the Liberty Bell, the only reason the Liberty Bell is famous is because they cracked it, when they rang it so hard, because there was just so much excitement and joy and enthusiasm. So really, it's the enthusiasm that we should be excited about. But again, still just a bell. But, so yeah, but and I'll probably be the same way when I finally get to see it, be like, yeah, I see what they're saying, but hey, but then also I'd be that person that wants to touch it because that's what I do. I like to touch old things because, I mean, like in London, I'm walking past all the buildings doing this, and my friends are, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm touching this building. It's like older than my own country." And it's like, there's a lot of history. I'm touching history. And, after two buildings, he's just like, this is Shelley Marie. That's what she does. She's ridiculous. But you gotta love your friends. At least they put up with me. But yeah, so, I think that's for anyone, right? But I guess I can see, right? Because when we finally found Marilyn Monroe's grave, I'm not sure if she was underwhelmed by that either, because it is just a grave, right? I mean, someone's buried in there. But I think because they made such a big deal out of Buffalo Bill, because it says Buffalo Bill's grave, but really it's a museum and a souvenir spot and a place you can get some food. So it's kind of more like a rest stop that you have to drive to. So maybe she just thought that it would be a lot more spectacular. So yeah, see, Muddy's the same way. I always want to touch old things too. Yeah, because that sounds like such a bad thing to say out loud, which is why I'm so trying to make sure people understand that when I say that, I mean buildings, historical places, historical things, historical objects. So, go into an old folks' home. I just wanted to touch you. So, it's so disrespectful. I'm so sorry. Oh, anyways, I needed that giggle. So, yeah, so believe it or not, that's it. Do any of you have anything that underwhelmed you? Muddy, what about you? Did you have anything that underwhelmed you, or you were kind of like, oh, I mean, I'm still trying to think of one. Yeah. She says, right, LOL, objects and places, not people. Not people. Not people. If I want to touch something old, just touch my shoulder, touch my knee. One day part of my knee will be newer than me. But yeah, so I mean, I remember the first time I saw Stonehenge, it just awed me and floored me. So definitely not disappointed. I don't think anything in England disappointed me. I mean, everything was so old, and even the new stuff, it's like you're standing in a country that's like 700 years older or more than your own, and you're just kind of like, wow, or 800 years older, and you're just kind of like, no, 600, 700, I don't know, whatever, older, way older than your own country, with buildings that outdate your own country, and it's just kind of, it's overwhelming in a beautiful way. But I can't think of, yeah, Muddy said the same thing. I try to think of something, but I can't. I guess I just look at the historical perspective, and that's the cool part. That's how I am. I mean, I just kind of be like, wow, And for me, seeing Buffalo Bill's grave, it's like, whoa, Buffalo Bill is this huge guy. He brought Annie Oakley and her husband with him to go do Bang Bang on his show. And, it's just, they're historical figures. So it was like kind of standing like, wow. Like Buffalo Bill might be buried here. I'm sure he is. I'm really sure he is. There's been a lot of debate, but Colorado stands by the fact that he is buried where his monument is and where his museum is and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm very much the little things person. I mean, I love the small things just bring me joy. So when I see something huge that other people may be disappointed by, or something historical, I'd be like, wow. But I think I would probably have the same reaction as my dad. When my mom called me from the Alamo, I said, oh, how is it? I'm so excited you got to go there. I'm super jealous. My mom's all, don't bother. But my dad's all, no. He's all, you got to go there. He's all, it's just, you're not expecting it to be surrounded by buildings. I mean, you can look it up. You can Google it. And you can see the buildings that surround it. One guy in the comments says I was very not my comments, but a different post I was reading said that he was very disappointed because I wasn't expecting it to be in the middle of a mall, like shops everywhere. So, but I mean, it's a tourist destination. I'm not sure if it's on Riverwalk or not, but it's definitely a tourist destination. I mean, this is something that was part of, Texas's history and part of Mexico's history and American history. So it's also a very historically, significant place for a lot of different people. But, yeah, I think for me, I get excited. It's like, I'm not sure I really couldn't think of anything either. Like Muddy, I was kind of like, I mean, there's things that I've seen where it's kind of like, I'm glad I saw it. And then I leave. But, it was like the whole 19 minutes thing. Like, yeah, I was bored at 19 minutes. And I'm sure I've had those moments. But I think for the most part, it's like I do have the gratitude for seeing it in that moment. Like, I have seen the Mississippi River and I've seen the Missouri River when I went to visit Minnesota back in 2000. And it was cool because you're like, wow, and Ozzy peed in it. Of course he did. Of course he did. It wouldn't be Ozzy if he didn't. But yeah, so I mean, the Missouri, it was, because you always are the Mississippi. You always hear about the mighty Mississippi and all the steamboats that went down it, and I think that I just kind of go back a little bit, almost like seeing through the veil, but in the mind's eye of seeing what life was like on the mighty Miss. So yeah, I think for me, when I saw the Mississippi River in Minnesota, and the thing is, when I saw it, it was frozen over. That's right, it was frozen over. Well, parts of it were frozen over. So it was kind of like, but it was still really cool. It was still really cool to see something, because I mean, that's kind of the gateway to the West, right? I mean, you cross that line and you're heading into pioneer territory now. So yeah, so very, very fascinating thing. And yeah, I honestly can't think of anything that, if I do come up with something, I'll put it in the comments, but I can't remember the last time I was underwhelmed by something. I don't live very far. I live about 40 miles from the Hollywood sign, and even that's still kind of like, wow, just to know that at one point it was just an advertisement that used to say, Hollywoodland, come buy our houses. It was a realty sign, and now it's such another landmark in California. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so that's it. So yeah, if you can't think of anything, let me know. And if you can come up with things that you wanted to see and you got to see and were completely floored by and absolutely excited by, then please share it, because I would love to know. I would love to know. I've already had a few people leave comments on certain things and on that post, but it was only 2 people, and 2 of them were the same. It was a monument in Spain, a cathedral, I believe. So it's kind of, and it looks amazing. So anyways, yeah. So, all right. Have a great day, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful and safe weekend. I'll see you back here Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelly Lucas. Anybody can watch. And you can find me across the social media board. If any of you have trouble hearing this, please let me know, because yesterday I don't think we had a audio problem, but when it was recorded, it came in really quiet. So anyways, if you watch this later and you can't hear it, thank you to my cousin Jeannie for letting me know. Let me know. It may have just been a bad connection because I was unplugging and replugging into a show that had already started. It may not have, it may have rejected that. So again, have a great day, everybody. Muddy, thank you so much for watching, and I will see everybody Monday. Have a great and safe weekend.